Prigozhin was killed. We don't have any information to indicate right now. The press reporting stating that there was some type of surface-to-air missile that took down the plane. That we assess that information to be inaccurate.
Welcome back. That was the spokesperson over at the Pentagon this afternoon with the latest assessment from the U.S. government of what we believe happened in that plane crash in Russia yesterday. It was reportedly carrying Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. Pentagon says their assessment is ongoing, but they do not know how or why the plane crashed. Meanwhile, in Russia, Vladimir Putin made his first public remarks today, acknowledging the apparent death of Prigozhin. He called Prigozhin, quote, a man of complicated fate, and that he made serious mistakes in his life. Joining me now is Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia and NBC News international affairs analyst. So let me just start with Putin's remarks. Sometimes when in the movies, when the mob guy delivers the hit, he brings a deli platter to the family and says he's and doesn't sort of admit he was behind it. Those remarks almost kind of make it seem like he's admitting he was behind it.
Well, he's trying, Chuck, to find this delicate balance between saying that he was a traitor and he said he made serious mistakes, right? But on the other hand, he doesn't want to be the guy that assassinated somebody who in Russian circles, in some Russian circles, and with some Russian soldiers is still very popular. And that's the place he wants to be. And that, I think, tells you about the dilemma of this assassination. Because on the one hand, does it consolidate Putin's power? Does it take off the board a charismatic leader who had guys with guns behind him that could threaten Putin? Yes, that consolidates his power. On the other hand, that he was so popular and that people are mourning his loss. They're putting flowers there. They're talking about we need revenge. That's a problem for Putin. And that's why you get this mixed message.
Does Wagner have a leader that could fill this void?
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. A lot of the leaders were taken out in that plane assassination crash, whatever we're calling it. It's not to say that they couldn't be reconstituted. But what I do think is probably going to happen is that they will not reconsolidate. I think one of the stories out there, why did he let this go so long, is one, he didn't want to take Prigozhin out when they were all mobilized marching to Moscow. That was prudent. But I think they also wanted to keep them on the battlefield, so to speak, right, in Africa, maybe ready to go back into Ukraine. I think that's highly unlikely now. Listening to the traffic of pro-Wagner people on Telegram, they're not very enthusiastic about supporting the Kremlin right now.
Well, let's talk about what does this mean in Niger? What does this mean in some of these African countries where either they supported in Niger, apparently supported that coup, perhaps with the help of Wagner, and certainly a bunch of other African nations look to Wagner for security. What happens?
I hope they just shut down and go home. That would be good for us. That'd be good for democracy. Remember, the Wagner folks are always supporting coup leaders and autocrats. They're not supporting small d Democrats in Africa. Most certainly, it's good news for Ukrainians. You listen to the Ukrainians, they're delighted that this criminal, this horrible person that killed a lot of Ukrainians is now dead and his forces are in disarray. Maybe they'll reconstitute it, but I think it's going to be hard. I don't think it's going to be as easy as some people assume.
And do you expect Prigozhin to be turned into a martyr? I mean, does he have that kind of following?
For some, yes. The hardcore nationalists, those that have been upset with the way that the Russian conventional forces have been fighting, General Gerasimov, Minister Shoigu, Defense Minister Shoigu, he said a lot of things during his mutiny moment that they all sympathize with. Doesn't mean they're going to lead a coup. We need to be clear. It doesn't mean Putin's in trouble, but are there a lingering legacy from this? And the Russians love their martyrs, Chuck. This is a cultural thing as well. I suspect that will linger for a long, long time and not be a motivating force for those fighting on the battlefield. It's one thing to keep people in place through coercion and fear. It's another thing to inspire them. This is not inspiring people on the battlefield, and that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Right. No, exactly. I get where you're going there. Ambassador McFaul, appreciate having your expertise on the show. So thank you, sir.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.